people are too attached to, I've produced this amazing piece of content, but you get 0 views or you get 10 views.
I think the main reason why people don't stay consistent in content is because they've become institutionalized with what likes mean and what followers mean. And like, there's people out there with millions of followers that don't make any money. And at the end of the day, obviously everyone has different reasons for being on social media, but you need to be able to have an analytic that you're measuring against. So if you put out a piece of content and it gets seen by 2,000 people, 1,000 people, that's a lot of people in the reality of things. If you were standing on stage in front of 1,000 people, you'd realize that you're standing in front of 1,000 people. And actually understanding the metrics, I think, is the reality of things. If you can post something that's meaningful and that is actually valuable content and it gets put in front of 1,000 people, that is a lot of people, and you can start scaling from there.
I think with me, like, I get so discouraged when a guest has said something amazing and I put it out, I'm like, oh, this is going to do great. Like, what the guest has said is perfect. And then it doesn't get anything. I'm very much like, man. But I think that's when it comes back to what I was saying to you downstairs. I haven't attached no monetary value to this pod. So I can't get upset or pissed off when I do a post and I'm not getting paid for it, because ultimately I'm doing it for the people, right? If 1,000 people see it, I guarantee you at least 2 people will think or hopefully take action from what they've listened to and watched. And I think that's the issue these days. People attach everything to money and they don't do things out of passion. I think especially in the property field, a lot of people get into it thinking, yeah, I'm going to make a lot of money, when that's not the case. Especially from what I've seen is like the rent-to-rent deal sourcing side. Yeah. Because with deal sourcing, a lot of people say that you just find a deal, find an investor and you put it together. That's what it seems like, but it's not that. Yeah. You know that it's not that easy, right?
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of moving parts to deal sourcing.
Numerous moving parts. It's a complicated infrastructure. Like when you're looking at deal sourcing, especially if you're looking at, you've got the deal sourcing for rent-to-rent properties and you've got the deal sourcing for more like development properties and essentially stuff like that. And if you actually break down the business, it's very similar to being an estate agent. And I feel like we don't speak about this enough in the industry, but finding a property and connecting it to someone that wants to buy it is an estate agent. And there's a lot of moving parts to an estate agent. You've got your administration team, you've got your sales team, you've got your conveyancing team. And when you put all of that into one, essentially that's when you become a deal sourcer. But like you said, there are a lot of moving parts.
What would you say is the biggest thing that people don't consider when trying to do, like, let's just say deal sourcing specifically? So they don't think about and they think, oh yeah, I can just do this and it's going to work.
Getting into it?
Yeah.
Their understanding of the market. I feel like a lot of people come into it and they look at it as, because it requires no money, it's a entry point to the market, which in some instances it is, but there's an entry to everything. There's different elements of entries. So yeah, if you don't have to put any money into a deal, you might need to bring the knowledge to facilitate the deal. And it's not as simple as just finding a specific property and saying to someone, oh, I think you should buy this. There's an actual understanding of why they should buy it, what they're going to do once they buy it, and structuring a deal that makes sense with multiple exits, structuring a deal that has economic value, rather than just, oh, this isn't a good way to make some money.
Yeah, and I think because you can make so much money in deal sourcing, people think it's, like you said, it's an easy barrier to entry. But at the end of the day, you're providing a service, right? Yeah. You're providing, you could ultimately say the expertise and the knowledge of what you have in the property space for someone that doesn't have time. So you source deals?
Yes, yeah, so like I've built a team now that provide deals for our investors.
Okay.
So yeah, essentially we source deals as part of one of the arms of the business. And essentially what that looks like is we have investors that are actively looking or have cash sitting in the bank that actively want to invest in UK property, whether they're overseas or busy professionals over here, and we facilitate the two. So we'll either connect them up with deals in for whatever they're looking for. That could just be simple buy-to-lets. It could be flip projects, development projects. We steer away. We don't source many rent-to-rent deals, but if it was like someone wanted to take on a block under lease for 10 years or something like that on an asset management kind of situation, then we would look at something like that.
Yeah. Downstairs, we were talking about like this, the stigmatization of London investing. And we were saying that it can work. It's just...
It does work.
It does work.
Yeah.
It's just a case of staying persistent with it, right? Because as I mentioned to you downstairs, I generally believe it's a mindset thing. Like attracts like. So if you tell yourself that you're not going to be able to find these deals, ultimately they're not going to come to you.
Yeah.
But then we were also talking about the fact that London is kind of bulletproof in the sense that it's through generations, it's proven to work. So why now in 2025 that will stop? You know.
I think London's entry point is a high entry point. And that puts a lot of people off.
In terms of it requires a lot of money.
It requires a lot of money or requires a lot of knowledge and skill. And that puts a lot of people off. But in another instance, that high barrier to entry wipes out a lot of competitors as well. So you can make better margins on things. And those margins, because you're dealing with higher prices, is usually, if you make 10% on something, that's obviously a lot more. You're going to make more money in general. Your net is going to be a lot more. So I think London does work, and it is working for many people. I think it's probably not the best place to start out if you're starting to get into property. But there's definitely a market for it, and there's definitely people that are actively